is in session, and you are before the council. I am residing Judge Volio, and as always, in the chambers, I am joined by the honorary Judge Ewok.
G'day all.
And of course, the honorary Judge Junky.
How do you do?
Gents, the fat guy has been and emptied his sack all over the place, and I bet you there wasn't one PS4 or Series X in here, was there? No, Father Christmas. That's what I remember. Father Christmas, yeah.
How are we doing, guys? Happy Christmas, by the way. Happy New Year,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Happy Christmas, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Hope everybody had
Oh.
a great one, including all the listeners and viewers. Hope the fat guy brought you everything you wanted. And if he didn't, behave yourself this year.
Been a nice little break. It's been good to have a bit of time off.
I don't know, because in all honesty, I picked up a slight addiction. I won't lie. So maybe accidentally on purpose over the festive period while it was on sale, I might have bought some stuff after talking about microtransactions. I know, yeah. And that stuff I might have bought might have been linked to Bethesda. And it might have been Elder Scrolls, and I might have bought all the DLC for Elder Scrolls Online. And I'm not 200 hours in.
I would love to get on my high horse over this.
Is that the one you bought?
On my armored horse, but I can't because I did exactly the same thing.
Well, at least it's not an NFT.
Yeah,
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Hang on. I think mine was the NFT of the Blackwood collection. No, and for everyone watching and listening, it was completely coincidental as well that myself and Volio picked these things up.
Yeah, because for those that watch this, and obviously the listeners as well, you'll know if you watch our streams representatively, I game with a group, my clan, they're from Room to Tomb, and we all made a collective decision that a lot of us were going to invest back into Elder Scrolls because we were looking for something to play as a group, something we all liked, it was common ground, and something where we could all bring something different to the table. So rather than get around and play D&D, because obviously that's Ewok's job, we thought we'd get back on ESO.
Yeah, I'm slightly addicted as well, though. I'm loving it.
I'm not addicted at all. I have no vices.
You've got your own addiction at all.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Me too. Can't quit it.
To be fair, I've not really played that much Destiny 2. I mean, I have played that a lot, but I have not played as much as I would be normally playing because obviously there's a big content drought. So I've been playing a few other things. Well, I've been working mostly, but I've been playing when I've not been working. Divinity, Original Sin 2. I'm probably about halfway through that, maybe, which is an achievement in itself. And I started the Ascent as well.
Oh, nice.
I just wanted something like a bit light I could jump into with a friend, just like, just blast a few heads off. And I think because next month's so busy in the gaming calendar, there's so much out next month. I was just like, what can I play that's like light and refreshing that I'm not going to get like too into?
Yeah. Completely understand that.
I kind of went the other way as well, though. So I've been playing ESO. You went for light and refreshing. I went for something that's kind of like not so light, not so refreshing, and has involved me dying many, many times. I've started playing Escape from Tarkov.
I thought you were going to say Dark Souls for a second.
A lot of rolling, his back's killing.
I've been playing Escape from Tarkov, and it's brutal. And I've died so many times. But I love it. There's something about it. There's just something about like having that hardcore experience where there's no map, where you're actually learning the topography of where you're actually fighting, so that you can get to your exfils and stuff. And it's difficult, but I can see why people who stream it only play Tarkov because you need that time in. It's
certainly flavor of the month. I think. I mean, it's been out for quite a while, and it's always had its like dedicated following. But obviously, with the rise and fall of Call of Duty shooting themselves in the foot with that tragic Caldera map, seems like a lot of people have jumped over.
The problem, I think, at the moment is we're sitting in a stale time for games, and that is absolutely weird to say. coming off the back end of probably 3 of the biggest AAA launches that there should have been last year.
Yeah.
That being obviously Forza, Battlefield, and COD. You know what I mean? There was the big shake-up of the map change for Warzone, and well, I don't know. You know, me personally, I have put time into it. I've tried playing it many different times. I've gone back to it. I've tried all the different variants, and it is still broke as hell. And when you're getting shot from under the floor, and you know they've blatantly cheated to get there, or people are like locked onto you jumping around corners, you know, from outside buildings. It's like, how are you seeing me? And it does kill the game off altogether. And I know we've spoken about it a lot. I appreciate that. And I know COD and Activision and the guys at Raven Software and Sledgehammer are trying to do their best. The problem is when they've promised so much and they deliver so little, you're now getting that pushback.
Yeah. I think, as you say, the big 3 titles, only one of them lived up to and surpassed, in fact, its expectations, and that was Forza of all the titles.
Oh, hell yeah.
So you're left with Battlefield and COD that you don't play anymore.
Oh, hang on. You've tickled him now.
Go on.
I wasn't expecting it. It was like, of all the big 3 titles, nothing's really lived up to it. I was thinking, there we go, here's Halo, Forza. I was like,
No.
Forza.
Halo's great, but there's still that thing about Halo that it's missing its co-op campaign, so it's not quite.
Halo is half done. It's half baked. Halo. That's exactly what it is.
I think
the story was brilliant. I enjoyed it. It was fantastic, but it hasn't got all the stuff that previous Halos have had, like the co-op, for example, and stuff like that. Until it's got the full everything that's meant to be in there. It's not.
Yeah, no. I agree with you. No, I'm not disappointed at all. I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I just wasn't expecting you to go down that path because we're talking about like Battlefield and obviously the big 3 and I thought you were going to say Halo and then you were just like Forza and I was like, oh. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Well, no, this is it. To be fair, I think you could go out now and pass a microphone to most of the general public who play console and say, "What have you been playing?" And it'll probably be one of them. You know, it'll be Forza. I guarantee right now, it'll either been Forza, Halo multiplayer, Apex. Rust is having another resurgence. Pokemon Acreus or one of them, Smash Bros. You know, all the sort of titles that you thought had their heyday seem to have another lease of life because the anticipation for the new releases has just been a massive anticlimax.
Yeah, I mean, Forza has got over 15 million players on the leaderboard now.
Right.
That's, for a racing game, that is crazy numbers. And I know a lot of it will be Game Pass, but
I mean, you know, it's bad when on Steam, Battlefield 5 is outdoing Battlefield 2042. That's not what you want to be seeing.
I saw that,
And Steam are offering out of policy refunds for 2042 as well.
Ooh.
Now, talking of out of policy refunds, little bit of news as we smoothly segue into that. PUBG's gone free to play.
Much to the chagrin of half the bloody population of PUBG. Who now
I know, And Steam and all the other platforms are currently trying to draft up some sort of support plan because they are inundated with people requesting refunds because they paid for the game on launch. Now, I had the pleasure of watching one of Ewok's streams the other day, and there are certain members in Ewok's community who will come on, support him, and like to voice their opinion in the chat. And
always welcome.
Yeah, of course. And this person happened to come in and said they'd been playing a lot of PUBG, and that they were not finding it as fun, and then started a little back and forth with Ewok over Tarkov. And I think it's a great subject when it comes to the battle royales like that, because ultimately, if you say battle royale now, unfortunately, and I use that word massively, unfortunately, it's overshadowed by the Call of Duty franchise. They seem to have tried to take ownership of the word battle royale. Yeah, it's battle royales have been out for God knows how long. You know what I mean? Fortnite, PUBG, and the many that have come before and the many that will come after. You know, Apex, the rest of them. But ultimately, stuff like PUBG was a mod of a mod. So
Yeah.
again, it has been developed by the players because that's what they want. And then when devs get a sniff of it, they oversaturate the market, which then kills it off, and then people go looking for something else.
Yeah.
And it's mad. And I was saying how with PUBG as well, I have a little bit of a grind my gears moment over it, because for me it started off so promising. And then when they tried to make it go standalone and then tried to creep it, well, I didn't say try, they did put the microtransactions in with the loot boxes and everything. It killed the game off there. And now it's just incredibly overcomplicated for what it actually is. I mean, that was one of the talking points that your community member brought up at the time, that that's one of the reasons they went going to Tarkov, because it's overcomplicated. There's too much, and you quite rightly made the point there that it is because it's PC based, and that's what you get on those sort of platforms.
Yeah.
And I was in the chat at the time. I was saying as well, that's how PUBG used to be. It was really simple at first for the console port, and then slowly but surely they've overcomplicated it, trying to bring it on par with the PC version. And I don't think you ever can. Some games just need to stay on the PC and not be ported over.
I
Go on, sorry.
I always think the same thing with stuff like is it DayZ? I always look at stuff like that and I think it looks like a great game, and like I'd love playing on console, and I've tried playing on console, but it just doesn't feel right. Like saying Rust, I don't like them kind of games on console. I just think there's too much you need that just feels better when you hotkey it. That just doesn't work on a pad input, and that's fine. That's fine. That's some games, like you said, some games should be played on PC, and some games that's not gatekeeping. That's just the way it should. It just feels better, more right to play it.
Yeah,
and that's kudos to anyone that can play it on a console. Fair enough, but personally, I think its home is the PC.
Ultimately, I totally agree with you. At the end of the day, let's be truthful here. You're talking about DayZ and PUBG. These are both mods that came from
the same
Armour.
game.
Yeah. They came from Armour, and DayZ came first. And then somebody said, "Well, it'd be cool if we did a battle royale using this," and along came PUBG.
I think that's the thing. Translating controls across from games that are developed on PC to make them work well for controls, it doesn't work all of the time. Hats off to those that can make it work and make it feel like it's natural. But I've played DayZ, you played DayZ as well, Volio, on console. We've all played a little bit of it. And I think we can all say there are parts of the controls where like this just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it should have stayed over there. And there's so many games like that. I'd love to see a Tarkov-like game on console, but Tarkov would not work on console.
Yeah. I mean, go on. Oh, go on. He's got something.
Oh, please.
I don't know if any of you have heard the little rumor about the future release this year of Modern Warfare 2. But the big rumor is Modern Warfare 2 will contain a Escape from Tarkov style mode, whether that becomes a Warzone edition or it becomes solely for Modern Warfare, or it might even come about at all. But apparently it's quite a strong industry leaker rumor that's been out. So it's got a lot of
that would make me buy COD.
I was going to say, did you play the Blackout mode?
A little bit.
No, I didn't play it, but I've heard about it. And so I was going to touch on this before when you were talking about some modes being more complex. So a few of my friends that did play Blackout said that they preferred it because it was more like PUBG, where like you could go around and you can get different attachments, whereas they don't like Warzone as much because it is streamlined for the main sort of like casual player, where you can just get your loadout straight away and that's it. And they preferred it in the Blackout way.
I was about to say that now you're talking about that. That's an element that needs to come back into Call of Duty. The Blackout sort of defining attachments, building your guns on the fly. In essence, a bit like you do with Apex. That's one of the draws I'll admit to Apex for me. Everyone starts with a base gun. It's up to you to then make that gun how you want it to feel.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of balances the playing field like that. And now you're talking about possibly the best Call of Duty ever, Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
In a scenario that we wanted, which is original Warzone-esque, but then bringing in the Tarkov elements of it, and then the attachments of Blackout, I think if they did that, it'd be a saving grace to the franchise in my eyes.
Yeah, it would make me look at COD as a potential purchase in future. If they brought in a mode like that, I'd be looking at it big time. But
I'd love to hear what the listeners and the viewers would think about it. You know, what when it comes to the sort of like survival battle royale or the survival aspect game like that. What's your top three? Is it Rust? Is it Tarkov? Is it was it the old Blackout mode? Things like that. Let us know in the comments in the chat, and don't forget you can hit us up on our socials as well.
Indeed. Yeah. So other news though. If you guys have seen, I've been making notes. I've been really prepared today. Other news.
I've been making hot pot.
You're making hot pot. So move on from that a little bit. Yeah. So just like light news, a little bit stuff like that. Nintendo Switch next month we'll be getting the AC Ezio collection.
Oh. Creed on the go. Nice.
17th of Feb, I think it's been announced to launch on. But does anyone remember what Assassin's Creed 3 looked like on the Switch?
Yeah.
I don't. Speaking of like inputs, I don't think that's the kind of place I'd want to play that kind of game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I even want to.
Even if I had the Switch, whatever Switch OLED, I still don't think it's the kind of place I'd want to play that.
See, I have to disagree with you there in the sense of if I'm, argument's sake, say I'm allowed to go abroad on holiday or something like that, I don't want to be taking my console with me. I want to take a Switch because I'm still going to get within reason some kind of the same quality game within reason. I use that word very loosely. And I can play Rocket League, I can play Fortnite on it, and things like that. And then now you're telling me I've got the ability to possibly play, stuff like Assassin's Creed on it. That would pique my interest.
Yeah. I mean, I think for that kind of thing. Sorry, go on, Dan.
I was just going to say, I remember when they brought out Witcher, and the only thing that came to my mind was like Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, and it's like everyone asking if we could, we never asked if we should.
Oh well. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, devs find a way.
Yeah, devs going to push it down.
This one we might get a little bit out of this one because we were talking about this, so we'll leave it. We'll leave that for a little bit. PlayStation, Sony, PlayStation.
Oh yes.
Do you want a PS5? Would you like a PS5?
Why are you going to give me one?
But
I've already got one.
We're running low on PS5, so how about a PS4 instead? They're ramping up production of PS4 to fill the void left by the lack of PS5s.
Oh, this feels a bit dirty. This feels like a Don Matrick moment.
Oh.
What about the people that can't play Xbox online? Well, we've got something for them. It's called a 360. Well, people that can't get a PS5. Well, we got something for them. It's called a PS4.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone who's sitting there going, you know what, I've been saving up. I've got like 250, 300 quid saved up towards my PS5 when I can get one for when they're available. But in the meantime, I know what I'll do. I'll just buy a PS4 with that money.
That's like saying, I know you want an oven, right, to toast your bread, right, and I can do all this stuff, but would you like just the toaster for now? No, I want the oven.
Yeah, I don't get the logic behind it at all. I don't see how it plugs a gap. There's enough PlayStation 4s out in the wild, surely.
And to play devil's advocate on this one, because I'm not a fanboy of any sort. I think places his hand over his boob, covering the Xbox logo on his t-shirt. I would have to say that having a PS5 is great, but how much more compared to the PS4 does it actually do when you're playing the same games to look at them on screen?
Get what you're saying. And
I think that's the line they're trying to come in at.
Yeah, but the line I look at is like if How long's the PlayStation 4 been out for now? 8 years? 9 years? 10 years? Whatever.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there.
It's if you haven't got one by now, you had no interest in getting one. And if you're waiting for a PS5, the likelihood is you've got a PS4.
So my sort of thought process on this is maybe they just had redundant parts and they thought we can't get any PS5s out, and these parts are nothing to. We can't make anything to do with PS5 with these PS4 parts. So let's just make these PS4s and just get them out in the wild, and then it's done. Then surplus stock's gone. If they sell, they sell. If not, it was going to be a write-off anyway.
If not, we'll give them away with mobile phones.
Yeah.
Because I can't see another reason why. But I was on the forums today and someone was talking about PS5s and they were like, it was because God of War's just released that's a bit of news. God of War's just released for PC, and if you've got a 3090 and an 8K TV, you can play God of War in 8K. So the first place to play God of War in 8K is actually on PC, not PS5.
The first place you're ever going to play anything in 8K is on PC. We all know.
Yeah. I not long ago picked up God of War though, so I can't wait to get into that.
So the age-old argument came about, why can't PS or Sony just release on PC straight away like everyone else? And then someone said, because people wouldn't buy a PS4 then or a PS5 because they just get on PC. And then someone came out and said, well, they would, yeah, because people don't just buy PSs for the exclusive content. And I was like, I bought a PS4 for Bloodborne. I bought a PS5 for Demon's Souls. I've not played any other games.
I got mine for Spider-Man, Last of Us.
People definitely, PC players definitely will buy a console just to play exclusives. Because if you've got PC, you're playing 90% of stuff on PC. Yeah, exactly.
The thing is as well, like if a game comes out on PC, a Sony game comes out on PC on launch day, if you want to play it at top notch, you can't do that on a £300 PC. I mean, your graphics card will cost you more than that alone. So a lot of people will still buy the PlayStation just to be able to play that game. Yep. You're not going to go and spend £1,500 to play a game on the PC when you can pay $350 and get it with the console. Right? If you know, it's that. I think that argument's a little bit. But
I know it's stupid. I don't like it, but I understand it. Like, Sony doesn't have a PC platform. It doesn't have its own sort of like shop front. So they're always going for a third party. So it makes no sense for Sony to like they say, immediately sell games on PC because they're always going to lose a cut of that. So firstly, drive your hardware sales by Sony exclusives timed, and then secondly, like you said, you're only going to get a small cut. So if you're going to get the people who can't be bothered waiting for a year, and then you're going to catch the people next year who can't be bothered buying who would never buy a PS5 anyway.
I think there's also the image side of it, isn't there? There's also the side where are you having the best experience of Sony's new game? Oh, on my Windows powered PC.
Well, that's it. Yeah, they haven't got a platform storefront or anything like that, have they? So,
yeah.
But
interesting, and obviously, other little bit of news that squeaked out while we're on the Sony bandwagon is the PSVR 2 that it's on its way. Now, this is something I would like to put out to the community before we deliberate on it, and that is, do you think VR has legs to stay in the industry? So I'm going to put that out this week in the pod, and I want to see your comments and everything below, and then we shall deliberate this on our next episode.
Yeah. Light-hearted news. Warcraft director Duncan Jones has been tweeting that he wants people to basically get onto Disney about letting him make a Full Throttle movie.
What?
Okay.
You remember Full Throttle, the point and click from LucasArts about the biker gang? Yeah, he basically wants to make a movie on that.
That's again, you completely surprised me twice now. That was not where I thought you were going with that. I was expecting you to say you want Disney to make a Warcraft film. Yeah,
no, full throttle. So a point and click LucasArts game, which I think you can play like the revamped, which is basically just like a slightly more polished point and click on Game Pass. But yeah, and out of nowhere starts tweeting people saying, "Hey, get onto Disney. Tell them you really want me to make this film."
Nah, sod that.
For
I want
Disney
Netflix.
Plus.
I want Netflix to make a League of Legends Warcraft style adaptation.
Oh, stop it!
Go on, go on.
You know you want
Stop
it. You know
Go on,
you want
Blizzard.
it.
I know everyone's boycotting Blizzard at the moment, so I think that would be something that like that,
Probably
Yeah.
one of the best things they
That would
said over
take
this
off
year.
big time, I think.
yeah, that'd take off, I reckon.
So we got two other bits of news. Like obviously, one was one that you messaged us about the other day, Dan. Quite a big one. The Take-Two. Dan's like really confused there. What did I do? What did I do? Take-Two's acquisition of Zynga.
Yeah.
Mm.
So for those of you who are not aware, Zynga is probably is. In fact, no, it is not probably. It is the biggest mobile developer at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They produce things like Star Wars Shadow Legends, was it?
Yeah.
Shadow Strikers, Shadow Hunters. As you can see, I'm a massive mobile player.
They're in everything. You got the like Zynga
Farmville,
Poker, all of that
Zynga
stuff.
Poker, yeah. And to show
So
that the industry is absolutely humongous. What did I say? It was 13.5 billion they paid for it.
Was yeah.
So let's put this into context: 13.5 billion. Microsoft tried to buy Discord for 10 billion and got rejected. And Microsoft actually did buy Bethesda for 7.5 billion.
Yeah.
So nearly twice as much as Bethesda is worth. It cost to buy Zynga.
What some coon is that?
Well, when you think about it, how many mobile phones are out there? How
Well,
many
yes.
possible gaming platforms are
Which
in
is
hands?
Quote me if I'm wrong, but was that not Nintendo's theory when they tried to go down that route with the whole Nintendo Android thing when it came out with the Switch? They knew that, so why compete with the other biggest mobile developer when you can join forces?
Yeah. So my theory was obviously the company that owns Rockstar is like Take-Two, so I can imagine we're going to see stuff like I said the other day. What's the FIFA one? Ultimate Team. I can see NBA 2K Ultimate Team.
There's already
like
an NBA 2K
mobile
app.
game.
There is already an NBA 2K app, but I can see them like really rocking that because it's not heavily monetized at the moment.
I can see something like GTA casinos, like the Zynga Poker. Maybe you can probably earn money on your shark cards to play in GTA Online by playing poker on your phone. I can see it make. I can definitely see why they've done it, and I can see it making a lot of money. And it feels a bit dirty to me because it's everything we've been talking about the past few weeks with NFTs and like the way the industry's going with microtransactions. This feels like another. It's not for the consumer. It's for. And it sounds stupid because it's never for the consumer. Really, it's to make money. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is to make money.
Yeah.
But this truly feels like it's
Well, I'll make you feel worse about that because Strauss Zelnick, CEO of Take-Two, has actually come out and said they have a lot of intellectual properties that have not yet been exploited from mobile and free to play.
Exploited.
His words. They basically haven't been I'm paraphrasing, but basically unexploited is what he said. They've been unexploited for mobile and free to play. And he named the likes of GTA, Red Dead, Midnight Club. Strangely, considering they haven't had a game out in 13 years, basically rattled off a load of Rockstar's IPs.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the listeners at home are going to be sitting there going, "Well, water's wet." Obviously, they're going to like try and make money off it, and I understand that. I understand that. Like, it still feels icky. And maybe it's us just being naive and daft about it because obviously the industry's been going this way for a long time, but like it feels more streamlined as games are getting bigger. That edge to make more revenue. That sort of like it seems like there's always been a fine balance between CEOs and devs and shareholders, and it feels like it's starting to go the other way. Obviously, it started going that way when mobile did take off, but now it's starting to start seeping into games with microtransactions. Now, we can see with games themselves, and like we were talking about earlier with the big three companies, the lack of innovation in games, the formula to just like get out something that's been done countless times, just get out year after year after year because you know it's going to make money. The only sort of thing that gives me a bit of like what's it called, like relief, I guess, is the gaming community isn't really that stupid as other like other people that buy into cultures and medias. Like as you've seen, there is a lot of pushback.
We'll get into that shortly, I think. But talking on obviously along those lines, you also pointed out something this week, I believe, Junky, which was the fact that Square Enix and Sega seem to be at opposite ends of the spectrum in regards to this.
Yeah. So if any of you look at some of the gaming news channels, Square Enix CEO had a New Year's message, and to paraphrase it, it was basically saying that games not meant to be fun. They're just meant to be for people to spend time in to escape, and I can see that to an extent, but they're an escape to have fun. You're meant to have fun whilst escaping. Otherwise, it's just a job. But it sounds like that's where he was trying to get at. So he was sort of talking about that, and then he said he can see in the future blockchain games, the metaverse, and NFTs are a big thing that they again would like to exploit. And it's just like, oh, what's this bigger fascination? It's like pump and dump get rich schemes, and it has no place in gaming, and it's environmentally damaging. So I don't know why they're sort of like pushing into it at a massive rate. But like I said, on the opposite side of the scale, Sega have looked at NFTs and then have turned around and said if there's too much fan like pushback, they'll just scrap it straight away. And straight away, there was a lot of fan pushback. We've already seen with Stalker, they had the same issue. They talk about releasing NFTs to try and generate more cash, and straight away they were knocked out the park. It was like, no, this is dreadful. Don't let this happen. And to the credit, after that cat candidate tweet that came out, sort of half saying, well, it's good. It's not going to punish you. It's meant to be separate. They did relent on it. Stalker relented on it, and there's no NFTs. Same with Sega. So it seems like there's a war going on for the heart of gaming at the moment between CEOs and more morally ambiguous companies.
Well, you say you very quickly touched there, Stalker. Ewok, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not going on the list? The list of things that no longer exist or do, but not yet.
Yeah, what was it meant to be out next month?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And it's been pushed back 7 months.
7 months.
Yeah, very specific, but yeah.
I mean, thank God.
Yeah,
because there's so much going out next month.
My poor bank balance is going to know what hit it.
I haven't checked to see whether it's kind of disappeared from the coming soon part of Game Pass because it's been sitting there for like 6 months. But yeah, they announced basically in order to give themselves more time to better prepare the game and to put out a more complete finished product, they need 7 more months. Which, thank God, because there's so much stuff coming out, but also thank God for a studio saying, no, this isn't ready. And we're going to take the step and we're going to delay it.
How many times do we have to chain this up with the Battlefield argument? I know, yeah. But anyway, yeah, it is getting a little bit beyond a joke now with the amount of stuff that's not ready. And I completely understand, and I get the whole, but the pandemic's had an effect on everyone. I get that. So with your earliest opportunity, come clean and tell us as gamers. Let us know. Yeah, guys, we've lost half our workforce due to sickness and illness. And I'll tell you right now, people will turn around and go, well, do you know what, mate? We have as well in my office, in my business, in my establishment. So I kind of get exactly where you're coming from. So what are you saying here? And the devs will go, well, we're saying like an extra 6 months, and then we'll give you the game that you want, not what we think you want, the game you actually want and ask for. Yeah. And I think if a lot more companies start doing that, and it's a bit of pill to swallow. Don't get me wrong, I understand that. And ultimately, money talks. We can't get round it. It does. But I think if they can afford to take the hit and put that little bit at its earliest opportunity, and that's the key there. Earliest, don't drag it out until like weeks before launch, and then shit the bed and put a half-assed tweet out.
Yeah. I think there's two conversations that happen, isn't there? There's the fans and the devs, and as Dan said, he said many a time, and I completely agree with him. You know, Battlefield was given a free pass by the fans after that thing, and then there's the conversation that happens between the devs and the publishers, i.e., shareholders. And here's the thing with Battlefield. I don't know if you guys know this, but I recently learned this as well. The delay of Battlefield also delayed another game because the Criterion team was pulled off the Need for Speed to help DICE, which already tells us it was nowhere near ready. So when the holiday season come, there was no way EA were going to say, yeah, take 3 months. Because you've already delayed Need for Speed, you've already delayed Battlefield, and you'll be putting it out of the holiday window. Money talks. And actually what happens there is, you make a quick buck, but actually your fans lose faith in you. Yeah,
it hurts you in the long run. I think it's the other thing is as well. I think it's a lot easier for companies like EA to have that nerve and say, listen, we're going to push this back. Going to push back 6 months. They've got the financial clout to hold out for 6 months. It's a lot more risky for a company like the people that are making Stalker or smaller companies to say we're going to have to take another year, because they haven't got that financial clout. Like, if you're developing a game for 3 years, your whole budget's based around that 3 years. So it's then got to be delayed by another year. It's like, how can we keep the studio going for another year without this revenue from this game? Because potentially that's their only source of revenue.
Yeah, no, I get you as well, and I think that ultimately, again, it's one of them that I appreciate. They've got to get content out and they've got to get things out to get things back in to then develop it. There's a way of going about it, and right now, it's almost as if game devs are operating on let's say it's a common sense scale. Okay, one being the most idiotic idea, 10 being the most one with common sense everyone's crying out for, and they all want to start at 1 and work up to 10 rather than going from 10 and working down. And I don't know what it is at the moment. It just seems a running theme these days.
I mean, if you really can't sort of like hold out for that extra 6 months, 7 months, and admittedly some companies will have it easier than others. So if you've got like a multiplayer game, obviously you've got a lot of leeway there. You can put that on early access, like Splitgate did, where they released the beta version. Halo did it with Halo didn't need to because it was Microsoft. That was more to appease that base.
Just stop with that right now, because that bite my fist here.
I think as well, a lot does depend on what support the studio's getting. I think as well. So I think the devs making Stalker had the confidence to do that because of the relationship with Xbox at the moment, and Xbox because they want to get quality things out of the door. They don't want to be just churning out anything. I think they're happy to say to their studios, if you need time, tell us. And we'll delay it. I mean, if someone like 343, well, I'm sorry, we're going to touch on Halo very quickly, but if they can go to Xbox and say, hey, you've seen this backlash, we need 12 months. We know this was meant to be a launch title for next gen, but if 343 can do it, all the other studios are going to go, well, if they can go and ask for it, so can we. And Xbox are being very lenient with their devs at the moment, which is
probably
great
the flagship title.
Yeah.
It is. It's a flagship title for Xbox. You talk about mascots back in the day. Sonic had Sega. Nintendo had Mario. I don't care what you say. Xbox has and always probably will have.
Yeah. So if 343 can ask for the extension and get it, the smaller studios are going to be able to say to them, listen, we need a bit of time, and they're going to get that support, it looks like. But other ones that can take the hit, like you've said, Dan, like EA, actually, what drives them? Is it quality content? Well, no, because they've churned out the same FIFA for the past 15 years. There's not quality content; it's the bank balance, and that I think that's the problem. Who's supporting the devs, or who do they have to report back to? Is it somebody who wants to see quality content, or is it somebody who wants to see a bottom line?
Like you said, and like you said, that's when it comes to what we were talking about the other day. It comes down to that culture war that like the sort of management side are trying to perpetuate to try and take the heat off themselves, where they'll announce something on Twitter. Oh, don't give the devs griefs. It's not their fault, and it's like you're pitting the fans against the devs when they're not really calling out the devs. They're just your corporate entity doesn't have a face. We can't call out the CEO of EA and go, "Why are you such a douchebag? Why haven't you given them more time? You should have known they had more time." You can read the forums. You've got community managers who will tell you, "Listen, this is a good idea. You just need to start listening to your staff." And bottom line, that's it.
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red did the exact same thing. Obviously, they pushed ahead and brought a shoddy project and got absolutely lambasted for it. And hopefully, we think that will never happen again, but we're seeing it happen again.
And are you smoothly into our main section here now? So this is our talking point of today, and it is the whole: are we being too harsh on devs? Is the pushback from the gaming community now driving a culture of dev hate when actually it's not their fault? Now, I will go out on a limb here, right? And this is a massive limb, and I will prefix this by saying the following statement, which you can hold me to. The next words leave my mouth are my opinion and my opinion only. They are not the views of Traumatized Ewok, and they are not the views of Old Man Junky, and they are not necessarily representative of the views of the complete council. I, Volio, believe that the gaming industry is in such a state because we live in such a woke society now that 90% of the things that would have gone unsaid, unpushed back, unnoticed 10, 20 years ago are now being given the platform in the form of the internet to be spotlighted and soapboxed and championed by somebody that is so against whatever action has happened that they are then given a tool in the form of the internet or their soapbox to go out and source other people of the same opinion and ilk and give themselves weight and momentum behind their arguments.
Okay. I need some time to process this. Ewok, you're up. No, I definitely think there's an element of that. Totally. And so one thing that kind of hits on that, the recent news that GTA 6 might be the only Rockstar title we see in this generation because they're so used to pushing boundaries. I think you said earlier that they're so used to pushing boundaries. They're so used to doing stuff that wouldn't be seen as acceptable, but can they do that now? Can they tell a story using content that people... And, I think the thing is, like, people get upset, as you say, they get upset and they jump on the internet and they go, rah, 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 rah. And if like-minded people, and it's... If you shout loud enough, you'll get something stopped. Sometimes it's right to do that. Sometimes it's right to take a stand and say, this isn't acceptable. Of course it is. But sometimes to tell a story, to create the art that they do in video games, like they do in any media, in films, in TV shows, you have to touch upon sensitive subjects.
Mm-hmm.
You have to tell a story and let that story play out. And it can raise awareness for those different situations. It can, if it's done in a grotesque, just to shock manner, with no actual story or element behind it, which can portray that actually this isn't acceptable in society, but we're telling this story and you can see it's not acceptable. If it's just done as a shock factor, of course, push back against it. If it's just done for that element. But if it's there to tell a story, if it's obvious through the story and through the context that this is wrong, surely you can see that. Surely you can read into that and allow the story to tell itself. Something I say on stream all the time: context is everything.
Context is everything, and content is king. And they need to get that content out there to get their story across. However, it's getting to the stage where devs have already got their hands tied by the management to get something out on time because they're more worried about making the dollar or making the pound. And with restrictions, trying to get reasonable content out already, and then trying to get it against a society where you've got people scrutinizing everything, looking for the argument as well. And then I haven't seen a tweet recently where somebody has gone out and called out a dev for an excellent piece of work. All I ever see is everyone calling them out for everything wrong, and 9 times out of 10, as we've already established, it's not even the dev's fault.
Yeah. Well, you know, they say opinions like arseholes, and everyone's got one.
Yeah. But on that note, very quickly, like anyone who's listening or watching, no, just the comment prior to that. The comment prior to anyone?
I object. I have no arsehole. I'm offended.
If you don't think you have an arsehole, you probably are one.
But basically, just on the comment that Ben said before that about people like calling out devs for all kind of stuff, that's not even their fault. If there is a bit of content, there's a game that you played, or a particular scene in a game, or a particular character in a game that you think is absolutely brilliant, is absolutely well written, hit that dev up, hit them up, let them know, give them a pat on the back, tell them you love their work.
I will tell you right now, I have done this, okay? There is myself and a couple of close friends from when I formerly worked in the retail establishment that we all know of. We all hit up these devs via Twitter to absolutely sing their praises because what they put out was damn near short of a masterpiece and fell completely by the wayside because of the genre it fell into, and it was completely overshadowed. And that game was called Spec Ops: The Line.
I thought you were going to say Titanfall 2.
You're out to really miff me up today. Like...
I mean, it is a travesty that Titanfall 2 was released just before Battlefield.
Oh no, I'm not denying that. That's another feather for another bow.
Carry on.
But Spec Ops: The Line was a game, unfortunately, that fell into the military shooter genre. So you are competing with your Battlefields, your Call of Duties, your Armors, as was back then, and that sort of game, and your Rainbow Sixes. And one thing I would say about it is it makes you question. It actually makes you morally judge yourself, because there are certain situations, it's a decision you can go one way or another in the path, and whatever you do, your choice has consequences, whether it be good or whether it be bad. And we took to Twitter to absolutely sing the praises of the devs, and we got response back, and it was nice to hear those responses of thank you, it means a lot to us and so much, we put so many hours into it, and just to hear a small amount of you come back and say we got it right, it is all the accreditation we need at times. Myself and Ewok absolutely blew up over Splitgate when that dropped. We couldn't give the guys over a 1047 enough love, because they'd got it right. Now, but it doesn't always have to be the 10 out of 10 that you have to praise for. Sometimes it could be, if you'd taken this character down this development path, I think it'd have been better. But for what you've done with them and the questions you've asked of them and the context, absolutely superb. And more love needs to be shown to the devs, if I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen reports of, devs receiving death threats because a game didn't live up to someone's expectations, or because it got delayed. I mean, come on, really?
Well, I'm gonna come on an interesting take here, and I want to really sort of like praise the developer myself. It's a game I've played, and I wasn't like personally, I struggled with it quite a bit, but I enjoyed the ambition behind it. But it's recently what's been in the news that's really like made me think this dev is like, you know, he's got his finger on the pulse, he's spot on, and he deserves an honorable mention. So Jeff Ross, formerly of Bend Studios, and like speaking out in all the major outlets this week, doing such really in-depth interviews and really putting out like, you know, what goes on behind closed doors. And like I think a lot of you probably like seen this yourselves. Days Gone was not critically acclaimed, but it was really sort of like it really resonated with the fans, and it reached really good milestones. And it seems that Sony's completely like just let it go, just completely like gone. Well, you know, well the critics didn't like it, and then made the dev team feel like absolute shit reading up on it.
Unreal.
Because it got like a 7.5 and not an 8 or a 9, like titles like The Last of Us. So it's been a massive insight into that side of it. And like I just want to like say, well done, Jeff Ross, for speaking out. Well done for making your game. People love it. People do love it, and it's a shame you're not getting a sequel. It's a shame, you know, you're not appreciated as you should be appreciated.
You just remind me jokingly there of a little bit of banter that myself and Ewok had earlier in the week again on one of his streams, where he was playing Uncharted, and we were talking about how good it looked considering it was an old game as well. Naughty Dog, obviously, you know, one of the biggest companies that Sony owns or works in partnership with, and you know, it's a lot of first party content that goes Sony's way. And we were talking about the ratings of games and something like that. And if I remember right, I think it was the Uncharted 2 game didn't score what it was expected to score on the likes of Metacritic, IGN, and those sort of things. And I jokingly, me personally, Volio, again, this is me alone, jokingly said in chat to Ewok, it's almost like when you're sitting there and IGN are reviewing a game, and I did use IGN as an example, and I apologise. But it's like as Puppers comes to invade Junkers again. Oh. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, IGN are like, oh, you know, this game's crap. What's that? The calls just come through. The money's in the bank. Oh, this is a 10 out of 10. This, you need to go out and buy it.
I'm going to have to put disclaimers all over this video.
Honorable mention to IGN UK, who are not like that at all. If you ever listen to or watch anything on IGN UK, Daniel Cardy, Krupa, they are spot on. But yeah, the rest of IGN, the American side of it, is very sort of like
questionable ratings.
And if you're from IGN UK and you're listening to this podcast, how do you get so far down the chart?
It's because they talk about ratings. It's because they talk about ratings of Walker's crisps.
Any tips will help. No, ultimately,
I'm going to get 10 out of 10.
That's another thing people push back on the devs for, is because they believe word of mouth. Because they read things like IGN, Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes, all those sort of ratings. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, it only scored so much on that, so I'm going to take that as gospel. And I mean, I've been guilty of it myself plenty of times. I've heard that's not that quite good, so I won't touch that, or I can't, you know, condone spending that much on that title. And then it's launched, and 6 weeks later, it's AAA title, and it's raving, and I've gone, yeah, should have really picked it up back then. Should have just gone for it, because my gut was telling me I wanted to play it. And I think that's something else as well, is a lot of people have got to stop going with the gut and just be honest with themselves. If you think a game is amazing and all your mates are slagging it off and it's getting trounced on the web, be the one guy that turns around to the devs and goes, fuck them, I loved it.
Yeah.
Stand up.
I think games as any kind of art form are subjective. Everyone's going to like different kind of games. Everyone's going to get different things out of them. So as Volio says, if you love it, play it, let the devs know. Just definitely don't bow to the pressure of society and go, well, I'm not playing that because that's rubbish, that is. I want to play it. I really want to.
I remember when I completed Banner Saga, so I completed Banner Saga 1. After years of seeing the art style, and I'm thinking that looks absolutely gorgeous. And it's like a top-down strategy type, tile-based strategy. For that, it looks really XCOM. It looks really gorgeous. The art style is amazing. I thought I really want to play that game, and I put it off for years and years and years, and eventually played it, and I was like, that was amazing. I played all 3 of them. I got to the end, and like I sat there and I was like, oh god, I'm lost. What am I going to do? This game's over. And I actually tweeted out Stoic Games. I was like, oh, your game was just fantastic. I just felt involved the whole time. The story, everything about it, the music, the subject matter, the art style was just superb. And then they tweeted back saying, thank you for being part of our caravan. And I was just like, oh, so lovely. It's just so lovely. Oh, don't cry.
I think
Stoic Games, honorable mention.
For those not watching the video, Junky's just wiping a couple of tears away, and is now being invaded by the puppet again, the gorgeous puppy. Well, I think when it comes to critics, for example, I mean, how many times have we read like a critique of a game from a supposed professional critic? And you look at, take films, for example. You know, let's pick a franchise. Let's pick a franchise. I said like Transformers. If I go and watch Transformers, I know what I want. Lots of explosions, a little bit of a storyline, sticking it together, but a load of nostalgia. That's what I want, and I'll sit down.
Megan Fox.
Well, here's a funny one.
And I'll enjoy it, but the critique will be like, "Oh, there was no depth to the story, and you know, there was no real character development, and I learned absolutely nothing from the experience. 2 out of 10." And you're like, "That's not what it was for. It was for big, loud explosions, Optimus Prime, and Megan Fox."
A quick one before we leave these subjects. Since we were talking about IGN's debatable reviews, so IGN, the main company, give Captain America, I think they give it a 10 out of 10. The film, no, not Captain America. Sorry, what's it?
I was going to say, you're clearly right.
Who's Brie Larson? This is how memorable she is.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. That's how memorable that bloody film is. I couldn't even remember who Brie Larson played. So they give it a 10 out of 10. It was like breathtaking, amazing, fantastic. One of the best Marvel films ever released. I remember sitting there listening to the IGN UK podcast, and he went, well, we give it a 10 out of 10, and I don't see why, because it was absolute fucking horseshit.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. In honor of standing up for what you actually enjoyed, it wasn't the best Marvel film, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So it definitely was not in the top 5 Marvel films, but I still enjoyed it.
Definitely.
But I think that is the problem with it. People see these critiques and they're like, oh, it's got 2 out of 10 or it's got 5 out of 10. Oh, I'm not going to touch that. And as you say, the word of mouth. But whilst we're on that very, very quickly, word of mouth. And we might have heard that a certain Ubisoft game that's landing on Game Pass day 1 isn't that great. And we may have lambasted it in a past podcast.
I don't know what you're on about. I was in quarantine.
Yeah. Well, I can go back and extract the clip.
I see what you did there.
We've said for a while, council plays. We're going to do the odd council plays. I put it forward now that we play Rainbow Six Extraction live on stream, the 3 of us, and see if we were confirmed in our thoughts or whether they change our mind.
I support that idea because obviously I'm probably the only one of the 3 of us that had a bit more of hands-on with it. So I am really interested to see how shit it actually is. Simple as.
And I'm going in completely blind because I've only ever played Tom Clancy Splinter Cell. That's as far as I've come with those type of games. So it'll be an experience for me to go in at the very shitty end of the stick.
Well, you've heard it here then. You've heard it here then, guys. We will be playing live on stream.
Now.
Yeah, we you look like someone's pissed in your tea.
Shit on your chips.
Right.
No, because I swear we get in there and we end there. I don't know why we gave this a 0 out of 10. It's fucking great.
Going back and seeing if I can
decided to go out stream retirement to become a fucking quarantine main.
I've been digging out the old clip and dubbing over it, so we were saying it was amazing. So just the audio, we're like, it was the best game we ever played.
You know, when you're in the Super Bowl with them Atlanta Falcons. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Then.
But our first council plays. You've heard it here first, guys. We will play Rainbow Six Extraction live on stream.
For at least 10 minutes.
At least we'll have a backup game just in case we load it up and go, my word.
I will give it more than I gave Warzone. How about that? That's a fair shout.
A game and a half.
I didn't even get that far. My game crashed. I just turned it off.
Junky gets to the start menu. He's like, right, boys, I'm done.
I came, I saw, I pressed start. That'll do.
Completed it, mate.
Obviously. Right.
Mhm.
On that bombshell, I think it's time we call order to the session. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining us, whether you're joining us on YouTube or whether you're joining us on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or any of the other podcast platforms that you choose to listen to us on. I have been serving Judge Volio.
I've been serving Judge Ewok.
I've been serving Judge Junky.
And court is dismissed. All rise!